to the Morning After, the sports podcast meant to be drank with your morning coffee or eaten with your morning bowl of cereal. If you missed any action from the night before in the sports world, we're here to cover it every morning of March Madness. Bryce, how was your Selection Sunday?
Gosh, exhilarating. Not just Selection Sunday, Championship Sunday as well. So a lot of good basketball this weekend. Very fun.
So, the college you're at least aspiring to go to, did you get in?
I did, yes.
The college you are going to, West Virginia, how do you feel about them making the tournament?
Well, them making the tournament is kind of like half the battle. Maybe them winning it is winning at least a game. It's going to be challenging. They're a 9 seed, so it's kind of the game where it's a gimme. It's kind of a 50-50 shot, 8-9 seed. It's especially when you're making your bracket, you never really know which team is going to come out on top.
And shout out Dom Adamo, West Virginia over there for now. He'll be on this podcast at least for either tonight or one of the other when they play. But shout out Dom in West Virginia. But an exciting Selection Sunday. Start off, Rutgers did not end up making the cut. Kind of a letdown. I want to make some Rutgers content at Rutgers, and it would have been fun, and I just loved watching the team this year, and that's where I want to go to college. But, it was a rough end of the season for them. It was a really tough weekend as well.
They came up really close against Purdue, and Purdue's a really tough team to face.
If Purdue wasn't in that conference, which you can say this about every, second or third seed team, but, if Purdue wasn't in that conference, Rutgers would be a top seed.
Of course. Yeah, so to kick us off, the first-round matchups bring us some of the most electric games throughout the whole tournament. And obviously, once it gets close to the Final Four, maybe even Elite Eight, that's where it starts to become more of the better teams, and you see really who starts to stand out. But the first couple of games and the first couple of rounds, it's where you have the scrappy teams, the ones that just kind of scrape their way into the tournament. I have some teams, especially some of these 5-12 seed matchups, maybe even the 4 and 13 seed matchups, that I think are going to be really good. So San Diego State, a 5 seed, plays the College of Charleston. And I really like this matchup because San Diego State University, I think you said this earlier, Shane, 8 seniors and 4 freshmen make up that team. They're in win now mode.
That's an insanely old team. Shout out Divine Sports Gospel, San Diego State University. 27-6 on the season, 15-3 in their conference. And I think they're going to smash the College of Charleston, to be completely honest. But what do you think is going to be the outcome of that game?
I would love to sit here and say I think SDSU is going to win it. But the College of Charleston, even in the conference they're in the CAA, they're 31-3, and they haven't played many teams in the top 25, and they've really had very minimal quad 1 teams that they've played. But they are a scary team to play. They have 5 players on their team averaging over double digits in the point range a night. So they're a complete team, and don't be shocked if they come out and they beat SDSU. But, it goes the other way as well. Don't be shocked if SDSU comes out and just blows them out of the water. I think it's going to be a very interesting matchup, and I could very well imagine it being 30 seconds left in the game, tie game or up by 1 for either team, and they're going into fouls and they're doing all the hocus pocus, and it's going to be a long, drawn-out game. And whatever team goes into the second round like that is going to have a lot of momentum. Yeah, another one of my first-round matchups that I'm really looking forward to, and especially after the conference championship kind of tournament play, I like Texas A&M versus Penn State. How could you not watch this Penn State team and not root for them? They took Purdue into the final seconds of the Big Ten championship, and they were really one play away from winning or tying that championship up. That could have been a game that went to overtime. So I think if you just sit there and say, Penn State versus A&M isn't a game to look out for or watch, I think you're incorrect. And A&M is also a team that made noise in the SEC tournament. They made a lot of noise, and they lost to Bama, and it wasn't really in cosmetic fashion. They lost pretty big, but the fact they even made it to the championship in that stacked SEC is very impressive. And I don't even like them as a 7th seed. I think they should have been ranked higher. But Penn State is a team that's really hot as well. So That is probably, I'll say it right now, my favorite matchup to watch out for in the first round.
Penn State, an electric atmosphere behind that entire fan base and college. And they're going to be rowdy this whole tournament. I love Penn State, and I have visited. It's beautiful. First thing I want to kind of hop into, and I'm going to talk about this later with Russ when he talks about Baylor eventually. The University of California, Santa Barbara. UCSB has the worst mascot in the entire tournament out of all of the 68 teams. They are called the Guanchos and have a sand shark as a mascot. And if you're wondering what is a sand shark, it's a shark in t-shirt and beach shorts. And his name is Finnegan. So, yeah, I hope Baylor kills him because I don't want to see that thing in the round of 32, Sweet 16. That is an ugly mascot. I mean, we've seen some bad ones, honestly. We've seen some horrible mascots in the last couple of years. Every Friar mascot freaks me out. I don't care. But, Finnegan's an ugly one. I don't like it. How are you feeling about Finnegan?
I just don't like it. I just don't. And Baylor will beat him. They'll blow him out of the water. I just don't like them. I don't like them as a team either. It's just not fun.
So, if Russell goes to college at Baylor, and if they lose, let's say they get upset by Santa Barbara, he would have lost the World Series, his Phillies, the Super Bowl, his Eagles, and his own college within 6 months.
That's brutal.
Brutal. I'm going to talk about that with him later. But next thing I want to hop into, I feel like some certain teams, they're made as jokes every year, or, they're one of those weird underdog teams that makes a little bit of a Cinderella run. They're so fun to talk about. And it's why, the people at home are playing March Madness, because they see those teams they see every year. They're like, oh, this is a 14 seed. We're talking about Oral Roberts. 18-0 in conference play. Absolutely phenomenal. 30-4 on the season. 7th tournament appearance all time, and they're second in 2 years. I mean, the joke was made 2 years ago. Oral Roberts, Wyatt, a very, very dope member of this team, has an Oral Roberts shirt. That's how funny it was to him. So, I mean, how do you feel about Oral Roberts this year?
I mean, I think the high school team, Sierra Canyon, could beat them. I don't think they play in a good conference. Their conference play is not impressive, right? And they're a 14 seed, so it's not like they get a cakewalk in this tournament. I mean, it's not going to be pretty playing Duke in the first round.
That's fair. But, Oral Roberts versus Duke. I mean, Duke, definitely not the powerhouse we've seen year in and year out this year. I don't think you can disagree with that. This is a down year. Do you agree?
I think they started out in a down year, but when it was all said and done, going into this tournament, they're the ACC champs. I mean, that's pretty impressive when you have a team like Virginia that they pretty much blew out in the last game.
Yeah, Duke is debatably a top 10 most hated team in the country in all sports. Duke is hated in basketball. I mean, they are the villain of every story.
That's why people were laughing and crying tears of joy when Coach K retired.
And also a nod to them for winning the ACC the year Coach K retired. Or the year after Coach K retired. That's an incredible program.
When you have a first-year head coach, I mean, the expectations are going to be pretty low. And I think the 5 seed was a little generous. I mean, Virginia being a 4 seed after losing to Duke in the ACC championship, I felt like they were pretty evenly matched throughout the whole year in conference play. I feel like if Duke still had Coach K, I think they would have been given the 4 seed nod rather than Virginia. But I think they'll like that Oral Roberts matchup better. And if they go on to win, and Tennessee, if the brackets play out the way people are expecting it to be, if Tennessee ends up beating Louisiana in the first round, I think Duke has, a realistic shot at a run here. I mean, if they beat Oral Roberts and they beat Tennessee, if that's how it plays out, I mean, after that, it'd be a bit more challenging with maybe Purdue, maybe Memphis, or maybe FAU. That's where it gets a little bit more interesting, especially especially with the first-year head coach. But I like Duke. I like Duke's chances. I think they're in a good spot. The East isn't too loaded. It's not too top-heavy, and Purdue is really, that the team to watch out for in that, side of the bracket. But Duke is a team I expect to make a run.
I think more than just betting and checking your tournament every 5 minutes in your bracket, I think storylines are one of the most favorite things in this entire thing. And that would be a hell of a storyline because I think a lot of people expected Duke to decline after Coach K left. And a little bump, maybe, from, like you said, a 4 to a 5. Little bump. But, I mean, they win it all. Because this year, I feel like it is kind of wide open. I don't think it just has to be one of the 1 seeds or 2 seeds that's going to win it. I think a lot of teams can really bid for this title.
Oh, absolutely. I actually really love this one part of the one of the parts of March Madness that is always talked about is betting odds, and people are degenerate gamblers. They love to just throw their money on anything. I liked that the favorite to win this tournament is at plus 550 odds. And, I haven't been following sports betting for a long time, but I feel like before a tournament starts, if the most favorite team is at plus 550 rather than maybe plus 200, plus 300, it feels a lot more wide open. And that team at plus 550 is Houston. And do I expect Houston to win it all? Not necessarily. Could I see it? Oh, absolutely. But I really like to look at, the odds, at the best, odds to win it. The top 4, Houston, Kansas, Alabama, and Purdue, those are your 1 seeds, but there are so many more teams that are more than capable to win it. And I think out of those top 4, I think you see one of them exit in the Sweet 16 or the Elite 8. Who knows if Alabama even has Brandon Miller going into the Sweet 16? What if this investigation with, the tragic event that happened with, other Alabama teammates that involved him allegedly giving a gun to one of his teammates, Darius Mills, who, committed the violent crime of, murder. Could he be, arrested, detained, not allowed to play in the tournament? That can completely affect you. That would be a bracket destroyer if he doesn't play and then Bama just drops in the round of 32, the Sweet 16. I mean, Bama's a team where it's like, if they have their players, sure, they can make a run. But if for lack of a better word, if shit hits the fan, it's not going to get any better for people's brackets or Alabama.
No, and absolutely. And that would probably be one of the craziest headlines in March Madness history, honestly. But I absolutely believe that really any team, like you said, can win this. And Alabama is one that, with Brandon Miller, I will have them in many of my brackets. And I love watching Alabama play basketball. Honestly, they're a fun team to watch. But also, I could see this being Gonzaga's first championship in history this year.
I wouldn't doubt it.
Wouldn't be unremarkable. I could see San Diego State doing something fun. I could see a lot of teams getting out of this. Texas, that'd be fun. And you got Kansas trying to go back-to-back. And one more team I kind of want to shout out before we get into the must-see games of the first round. Howard University, their 3rd appearance ever. First time in the tournament since 1992. 31 years ago. Went 21-12 this year, 11-3 in their conference. But here's the bad part. Like we just mentioned, going back-to-back, they're facing off against 1 seed Kansas. I mean, Howard, it's fun to see in the tournament. 31 years, that's like you have your own house. You have a wife and a kid, maybe. That's a long time in between tournaments, and I'm guessing Howard University is going to bring the heat and their fans. At least I hope so. But how do you feel about Howard's odds against Kansas?
I mean, a 1 seed losing to a 16 seed has been done before. It's been done in recent history. We all remember when Virginia lost in the first round, and it was unforeseen territory. We had never seen a 1 seed lose. Do I see Kansas losing in the first round of Howard? No. Would I like to see it? No. But if it did, congratulations to you, Howard. Go make your 1 round, run, or just play competitively with Kansas. keep it within, single digits going into the last, part of the second half. And, I will have my popcorn ready. But, just make your name known. The fact that these kids are playing out there, and it's going to be the first time in 31 years, a little bit. The last team that made the NCAA tournament for Howard, they're all working day jobs at this point. I mean, they are significantly older, probably in their 50s. These are guys that can, tell you about the good old days of when the last time they made the NCAA tournament was. But this is, for Howard, this is just a good moment. It's a feel-good story.
I mean, absolutely. And I kind of want to tell a funny story about that UMBC upset. So this is going to be a little bit of a flashback. I was in 8th grade when UMBC upset Virginia, and I had broken my leg the day prior. Snapped it on the gym floor in gym class in front of everyone. Not fun. Laughed at for years about it. And I'm sitting on my couch the day after in a hard cast, and I was on painkillers. So I was like tripping balls on my downstairs couch watching March Madness. My mom's sitting with me and we're watching, and UMBC, they beat them by 10 plus, right?
Something in that range.
They beat them by
it was a significant win.
There wasn't a buzzer beater at the end of that game or anything.
No, it was
dominant win. And I'm sitting there, and I kept saying that didn't happen. Because I thought I knew that I wasn't thinking right, and I was like, "There's no way that happened. It's impossible." The next morning, I woke up, and my mom told me, "Do you remember you were falling asleep? 16 seed beat the 1 seed last night," and that's how I watched UMBC pull off the greatest. Probably, I'll give them second greatest upset in sports behind Buster Douglas.
I mean, it was just a great game, just a good story.
Bryce, you have 4 teams that can make the Final Four that are number 4 seeds and under, so hop into that however you want to. I'm eager to hear it.
Well, the first one I really want to talk about is Kentucky. I mean, Kentucky, think about the NBA talent Kentucky has spat out of their program. It's a good team. It's a good program. And, you think about some of the famous alumni. You got one of my favorites, Julius Randle. You got Tyler Hero, who's a point guard for the Heat. I mean, this team, when you have players come through Kentucky, they end up going pro. That's especially the guards. A lot of them go pro. I like Kentucky at the 6th spot. I do like them at the 6th seed a bit. If they stay out of turnover and foul trouble, especially in the later moments, it's going to be it's a team that can make a run to the Final Four. I could see it. As for UConn is a 4 seed, so we're kind of tiptoeing near those higher seeds. UConn. They started out 14-0 on the year, and, the conference schedule kind of messed them up. They got beat up in the ACC a little bit, and, it was kind of flippy-floppy. And if they get into foul trouble, it's not going to be, pretty for the team. But if they're playing their clean basketball like they did at the beginning of the season, don't be surprised if they make, a big run to the Final Four, maybe a run to the championship. It's a team, and they have pretty good odds to make the championship and win it all too. I mean, I think they're listed at plus 1,800, which, with odds for anybody going, especially with the favorite being at plus 550, plus 1,800 is not terrible value. I like the value. And another team, people discredit them because, it's the first year without Coach K, and they played in a conference that's been kind of beat up. I like Duke. We've talked about Duke. 5 seed. I like them at the 5 seed. They should have gone a little higher. But they're just a solid basketball team. Their freshman, Kyle Filipowski, he is a double-double machine. He's all around one of the best players. And he made an impact even in that championship game, the ACC championship game against Virginia. He was the difference maker. Without him, I don't think they would have won that, or it would have been much closer. And Duke is not losing easily. They're not. I think they're just going to destroy Oral Roberts. I think they'll destroy Tennessee. And from that point, if they play Memphis or they play Purdue, I think they give them hell. That's just what I think. Don't be surprised if they go to the Final Four. And my last team that I will say don't be surprised if they make a run, Creighton. You can't call them a sleeper. They're just a good team. Good team all around. Their rotation is not the strongest. Their bench is not the most in depth, but their starting five is elite. They're a team that can make a run. They were pretty good in the Big East. They have players that are defensively sound, and they've done pretty good in recent years. The NCAA tournament. So, if they're like this year's St. Peter's, where people are like, where do they come from? Why are they playing so good? You got players signing NIL deals because they're on national TV every day, making big plays and having highlight reels all over the TV. That's a team you want to see. That's a team that you want to know beforehand they're going to make a run. So that's just my prediction. Those are 4 teams. Wherever one of them makes the Final Four, you heard it here first.
And I love those 4 games. I'm, of course, going to be watching every game, simulcast in every game, watching 17 games at once probably. And just to wrap this episode up with the entire tournament predicted by me and Bryce, I'm going to be naming every game in my prediction, and when Bryce agrees and disagrees, he will say. So to start off, round of 64, Alabama takes on 16 seed winner of AMCC or SMO. I mean, is it really a contest? Alabama wins.
Bama, baby.
Next round, Maryland versus Virginia, 8 versus 9 seed. West Virginia, obviously.
Yeah, country roads take me home.
That's where Bryce is going to college. That's who I'm rooting for this entire tournament. Next round, 5 seed San Diego State takes on 12 Charleston. Who do you got?
I know you're going to disagree with this. I love Charleston. Give me Charleston just in this round.
All right, first disagree. I got San Diego State there. Next up, Virginia versus Furman. Who you got?
I've debated about this. So I have multiple brackets. Some of them debate each other. This one's my favorite bracket. I'm taking Virginia. I think they return to their roots and just play good basketball in the first round.
I think Virginia historically is just on the bad side of a lot of upsets. So I have 13 seed Furman upsetting Virginia to take on San Diego State in the next round. Next up, 6 seed Creighton versus 11 seed NC State. I have Creighton winning.
I agree, and I haven't seen enough from NC State where I could be like, this is a game where you could watch it and think, maybe this will be an upset. No, you go into this thinking if NC State has a good day, it'll be, a single-digit, deficit going into the last 3 minutes of play. That's all I can imagine.
Next up, number 3 seed Baylor, Russell, versus 14 seed University of California, Santa Barbara, Guanchos, Baylor.
Yeah, give me Baylor.
All day.
Baylor.
All day. Next game.
One of the best teams when they're hot.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And they've been low-key in NBA form lately. Number 7 seed Missouri versus 10 seed Utah State. I have Utah State picking up the upset.
That's where we disagree again. I love Missouri. I think they're just a team that, kind of prove that, when you're in the SEC or the Big 12, right, well, technically the Big 10 had the most teams in this NCAA bracket, but I really thought the SEC and the Big 12 kind of dominated the college basketball season. I think when you're in a conference like that, Missouri kind of set their place in this bracket by playing in such difficult conference play all year long. Give me Missouri. I know you disagree, but I like them, especially as a 7th seed.
It's going to be a good game. I'm not upset if I'm wrong there at all. That's going to be a great game, most likely. Next up, we have 2 seed Arizona taking on 15 seed and hometown team Princeton. Arizona's going to run through them.
I hate to say that. I would really love, and don't get me wrong, a 15 seed beating a 2 seed is not impossible, but it's more than unlikely to happen.
Absolutely.
And I would love to see Princeton, top off the Pac-12 champions, but Arizona is way too polished right now to lose to the Ivy League champs. Give me Arizona all the way. But shoot, if Princeton wins, I'll drive out to Princeton and celebrate with all of them.
I will happily go to Princeton with you on that one. But next up, we have 1 seed Purdue versus I don't even care. 16 seed, one of the first 4 teams. FDU. What's up?
Most likely Fairleigh Dickinson.
Fairleigh Dickinson University will be taking on Purdue. You heard it here first. That's not true yet, but it will be. Purdue's going to run through them, and both New Jersey teams are going to be out in the first round.
Yeah, I can't imagine anybody beating Purdue, that early. I think they're too strong.
Get ready for the rest of my bracket. Next up, we got 8 seed Memphis versus 9 seed FAU. Expecting it to be a good game. I got Memphis winning.
Once again, you have two conference champions. Memphis, beating Houston being shorthanded, you got to remember that. But Memphis, come on. They're impressive all year round. I think they had their ups and downs, but Memphis, they're pulling through the first round. 8 seed, a little low, some would say. I think they were placed pretty perfectly. Memphis, give them first round.
Two teams I love to watch here next. 5 seed Duke takes on 12 seed Oral Roberts. I think Duke takes this game pretty convincingly. But Oral Roberts, we already talked about both these teams. We don't even got to dive in. But I'm guessing you have Duke over Oral Roberts as well.
Yeah, Duke over Oral Roberts. I think this one's kind of like a gimme. I can't imagine Duke losing this early. It's just too good of a team, man.
Absolutely. Couldn't agree more. Next up, we got 4 seed Tennessee taking on 13 seed the Louisiana Raging Cajuns are going to get bounced out the first round faster than any other team. I think Tennessee blows them out.
Yeah, they do. Like I said about, earlier about Missouri, I love these SEC teams because they've been playing against the tippity top of the competition all year round. Tennessee had a really, really good win on the road against Bama that I watched earlier this year, and I loved that game. That showed me what Tennessee can be. If Tennessee plays like that in this tournament, I can't see them, not being competitive when they play Duke in the next round. I just can't see that happening.
So we agree there again. This one we're going to disagree. We got 6 seed Kentucky taking on 11 seed Providence. I'm going to go with Providence. I don't like Kentucky. I hate Kentucky, honestly. But both solid teams. I think Kentucky is definitely the favorite heading into this game, obviously. But I got Providence with the upset here. I know you got Kentucky. We don't even have to talk about it. I know you have Kentucky.
But I'll give it to you. Providence is a super sound defensive team. And, they beat UConn this year. They lost to Xavier twice. They lost to Miami by 10. But they can compete. They can. They're not ranked super highly amongst other teams. They only played 8 top 25 teams this year, and they lost 5 of those games. But I think UK just knocks them out. I'm sorry. I like Kentucky too much. The program is too strong.
Next up, 3 seed Kansas State taking on 14 seed Montana State. We got the Battle of the States. I think we both got Kansas State here.
Yeah, KSU, they're a team that's hard to beat. I give them Kansas State. They're 7-5 against top 25 teams, and they play really well defensively as well. They limit their – it's as simple as this. They limit their opponent's shots, and they put up more shots, and they make more of their shots. I know, it's so simple, but that's how they win. And that's how it needs to be.
Next up, we got 7 seed MSU taking on 10 seed USC. I have USC taking the upset here. Way better in their own conference. A little bit better defensively. That's just on paper. I think with the eye test, way better defensively. Better scoring team. Didn't do so hot in the top 25, 2-4 compared to MSU's 4-4. But I got USC taking this one.
When I was thinking about this initially, I also agree with that. I also thought that USC was going to win. I also really liked their win against UCLA because UCLA is an impressive team to beat. But this is something that's an intangible, especially when I think these teams are pretty evenly matched. They're playing this game in Columbus, Ohio, and Michigan is not that far, especially where MSU is not that far from Columbus, Ohio. And they have people and alumni and fans that have traveled out and lived out in the Ohio area. USC is all the way in California. It's practically an MSU home game. Give me Michigan State. Give me Michigan State.
Next up, 2 seed, and I was a little surprised seeing it too. Marquette versus 15 seed Vermont. Vermont's just there every year. Usually don't make it out of the first round. When they do, it's a big deal. But I got Marquette murdering them, taking on USC in the next round.
It's as simple as that. Marquette is just going to knock them out real quick.
Next up, we got 1 seed Houston taking on 16 seed Northern Kentucky. Houston wins. Next, after that, I know you have Houston winning that. Next up, we got Iowa versus Auburn, 8 seed versus 9 seed. I have 9 seed Auburn taking up the tiny upset here.
Yeah, I don't agree with that. I think Iowa has way too strong of an offense to lose this one. But I can see Auburn winning this as well. But give me Iowa.
Next up, a weird one for sure. 5 seed Miami takes on 12 seed Drake. Drake is a sneaky team. Their opponents average 63.9 points per game. That's an incredible defense. Only played one top 25 team. That's where it kind of comes into, that's where it makes sense. Not the greatest scoring team in this tournament, but Drake definitely has a shot against Miami. I think they're very close to Miami in this tournament. Well, I got Miami winning it. It's going to be close, though, and Drake was definitely a good team this year.
I'd like to say that Drake, at least in this bracket for me, is a sneaky team to watch out for. And I think, personally, Miami, to me, died when they lost to FSU. When Miami got buzzer beat by FSU, they completely lost it. They completely lost all momentum. Everything after that, it was not the same for them. I like Drake. I like him in this 12-seed upset. Give me Drake and, watch for them to make a little run.
I like that. And definitely in other brackets, I'll have Drake runs for sure. Great team, but this is the one I'm going with on YouTube. Definitely picking Miami here. But next up, we got 4 seed Indiana taking on 13 seed Kent State. Love Kent State as a college. Indiana's going to actually roll through them.
Yeah, I mean, you can't say much about Kent State. They had a competitive game, against Houston this year. They had a pretty competitive game against Charleston and Gonzaga as well. But competitive games don't win you anything in the first round of a March Madness tournament. IU, I'll take them all the way.
All the way?
No, all the way through this first round.
Next up, we got Iowa State taking on the winner of Mississippi State and Pitt. That's the 11 seed versus 6 seed. I have Pitt beating Mississippi State and upsetting Iowa State, making it to the round of 32.
I love Pitt. I really do. And I can't say that as a future West Virginia Mountaineer, but I love Pitt in this tournament if they make it. I got to say, though, after watching Iowa State play Big 12 basketball all year round, don't mess with them. Don't mess with Iowa State. I'll take Iowa State over Mississippi State or Pitt. And I think if they played Pitt, Iowa State, I think it'd be one of those games you want to watch out for. But it's not going to be the absolute most competitive game. I think Iowa State rolls through, send it to the next round.
Next up, 3 seed Xavier takes on 14 seed Kennesaw State. I've never heard of them, and their logo might have 7 letters in it. Give me Xavier. The other team's kind of freaking me out.
Yeah, Xavier's ran through the Big East. Always. Great team. Give me Xavier.
So here's where it gets interesting in my bracket. You got 7 seed Texas A&M taking on the 10 seed Penn State, which I think was a little bit low for Penn State this year. Give me 10 seed Penn State with the upset, and I think a little Cinderella run is in order for the Nittany Lions.
Yeah, and I think when the selection committee made this first round of brackets, they think of 2 things. How does this affect competitiveness, as well as, making this fair, as well as how do we drive up ratings? And how much better can you draw it up than have A&M play Penn State first round? I would say Penn State, 10 seed, not terrible, but A&M being the 7th seed was a little questionable. I maybe would have imagined a 6 or a 5. But Penn State wins this game. They just do. They're just running. And I said this earlier, but they were, a missed 3-pointer away from beating Purdue in the Big Ten championship. This is a team you don't want to face right now at this moment. It's not about what you did in December or January or what the preseason poll said. It's about right now. And Penn State is winning on Thursday. Give me Penn State. 10 seed, baby. Come on.
And, it's in Iowa. You're not going to see many fans from Penn State, but this is the greatest fan base in college, in my opinion.
So don't be surprised when you have the Nittany Lions there. the fan base showing up. They'll drive all the way out from State College. Don't be surprised.
Oh, they will. Next up, you got 2 seed Texas taking on 15 seed Colgate. I love seeing Colgate in this tournament. Texas, it's not close. This is maybe the biggest blowout in the tournament. Texas kills Colgate.
I think Texas kills Colgate too. And Colgate, they went 17-1 in their conference, but it's not like they're playing in the SEC or the ACC or the Big 12. I really like this stat, though. They're the best three-point shooting team in the nation with a 41% field goal percentage from behind the three-point arc. That's crazy. I mean, I don't care what conference you're in. If you're shooting threes and you're making threes against any defense, that's very impressive. So Colgate, I'm not going to sit here and say they're going to beat Texas. They won't. But if they, they keep it competitive, they have a good shooting night, it's going to be a fun game to watch.
And I couldn't agree more, and I love watching Colgate, like I said, but it's just, this is not the year they make a run. This is a really good year. I mean, the top 10 shifted more than ever in recent memory this year. And so, like I keep saying, it's anybody's March Madness, but it's not Colgate's. Next up, we got 1 seed Kansas taking on 16 seed Howard, Kansas. Next up after that, we got 8 seed Arkansas taking on 9 seed Illinois. Give me the Fighting Illini, making it to the second round. A little bit of an upset there.
Yeah, I agree with that. I'd take that all the way. I have not liked what I've seen from Razorbacks this year. And I think they're very evenly matched. I think what really sets Illinois above Arkansas is those top 25 wins. Illinois has, they played 9 against the top 25, won 5. Arkansas played 10 and only won 2. They lost to Bama twice. They lost to Tennessee in blowout fashion by 18. And I think Illinois' win against UCLA, which was by a large margin, was very impressive. They beat Michigan State. They had a win against Northwestern. I mean, this is a team you don't want to really face in the first round, and I like Illinois all the way.
All the way, again. Another team you got going all the way.
I got to watch you with the phrasing there. I like Illinois for 2 halves of basketball against Arkansas, I'll say that.
5 seed St. Mary's, which is definitely a fun team to watch, takes on 12 seed VCU. I know I just called them fun. I got VCU taking the upset. We see one of these a year at least. VCU is going to be that team.
I would love to agree with you, but give me St. Mary's. I don't like what I've seen from Virginia Commonwealth. I think they're just not as strong as you want them to be. But they did beat Pitt. I'll give them that. They beat Dayton, twice. But their loss against Memphis it kind of turned me away from them. And St. Mary's College, they lost to Houston by 5. They have a win against Gonzaga. It's a strong team. I like their block shots. I like the way they play defense. Give me SMC.
Yeah, but sometimes thinking with stats is not the right move in March Madness. I will say that. Next up,
you gotta go for mascots and logos. I know.
No, that's not how I pick these, but that game, it was. You gotta do it sometime. You gotta switch it up. Someone's gonna get a perfect bracket one day. And do you think it's only gonna be like the high seeds? Probably. Next up, we got 4 seed UConn roll skis taking on the 13 seed Iona. I got UConn winning, making it to the second round. I feel like UConn sports haven't been incredibly notable besides their women's basketball team in the last 5 years. I feel like this is the year UConn goes on a little bit of a run, gets a little bit of that pep in their step. I remember the Kemba Walker days were incredible. Absolutely incredible. Some of the best college basketball I've ever watched. But UConn is definitely being Iona here.
If you would have asked me 6 weeks, like a month into the season, 2 months into the season, if UConn's beating Iona in the first round, I would have said Iona's really a 16 seed because UConn seemed like the best team overall. They should have been the 1 seed. UConn's winning the first round, and don't be shocked if UConn makes a championship. I'm not saying this bracket, but I'm just saying UConn, Final Four bound, maybe championship bound. Who knows? They're winning the first round.
Next up, we got 6 seed TCU taking on 11 seed winner of ASU versus Nevada. TCU's beaten either of them. TCU, just like in football, you've obviously noticed that their athletic program has gotten significantly better this year in every aspect. TCU is going to definitely roll through no matter who they play in the first round. Won't be the case for the second round, I'll say that already. But How do you feel about that game? Do you got TCU winning that?
Yeah, I got TCU winning it, and I haven't seen anything notable from Nevada or ASU all year for me to even believe one of them could take on TCU. And I like what you said about their sports program. When one team at your school is good and the other kind of programs are maybe not as good or not as well off, you drive better recruits to your school because they want to be a part of a winning program. Why do you think Bama got so many good freshmen this year and so many good sophomores and transfers? It's because Bama has had one of the best football teams over the last decade of their football program. They want to be a part of a school that wants to win. And, of course, the basketball team got better, not maybe just because of that, but because the whole school started taking on that sort of philosophy. That's the same mentality I have towards TCU, and as a 6 seed, giving them right here.
And next up, we got 3 seed Gonzaga taking on 14 seed Grand Canyon. We could have had the GCU TCU game, but no, Gonzaga's going to roll through them. I feel like the last couple of years, actually, all of their entire college sports history has been a letdown. Gonzaga, to be fair, they just can't finish the job. And I feel like 3 seed, a little bit of pressure's taken off their back. They're not the number 1 seed. They're not the best team in the nation. A little bit of pressure. I think they go on a little run this year.
I like them. I like them there. I think they win. Yeah, I don't see GCU making it.
Shout out Grandpa. Shout out Gonzaga. Number 7 seed Northwestern takes on number 10 Boise State. And like you mentioned before, sometimes I do totally pick off mascots. Go Boise State.
Yeah, can't agree with that. Northwestern.
I'm sorry, dude. I'm a sports fan at heart. I call myself an analyst. I call myself this, that. Dude, you got blue and you got like this orangey red. You got my 2 favorite colors, Boise State. They're not winning next round, but I had to give them the upset over Northwestern.
I mean, I will give it to you. This is one of the most evenly matched, not by seed, but most evenly matched games we have in the first round. Their BPI ranks are very similar as well. You got 41st at NU.
So you're going through that, but I just want to let you know, I picked that because Northwestern is just a white N and Boise State is a little dragon.
Well, I guess you're right. Stats don't matter.
So next up, we got 2 seed UCLA taking on 15 seed UNC Asheville. I mean, if it wasn't against UCLA,
wait, you telling me that UNC made the tournament?
No. I don't think you heard me. UNC Asheville.
Right.
But
what happened to the Blue Bloods? What happened to the Tar Heels?
That's what I was thinking. Jordan is in shambles. But if it was against if it was UNC Asheville versus Boise State, Northwestern, Grand Canyon, ASU, Nevada, Iona, VCU, like any of these low seeds, I got UNC Asheville winning. Not against UCLA. UCLA moves to the next round, and this is the last pick of the first round. How you feeling?
Good. I mean, they also made a dress code for, the great dance here. The big dance. They made a dress code. No heels.
You really? Great. We're going to have UNC fans bullying us. To start off the round of 32, we have 1 seed Alabama in my bracket taking on 9 seed West Virginia. Damo, I love you. Alabama is definitely winning against West Virginia. And Bryce, I love you as well. Sorry.
Yeah. I mean, come on. Eric Gibson is not going to do enough for West Virginia. I mean, he drops 40 points, and I still think Bama's winning. I'm sorry. Bama's just a powerhouse.
So, next up in the round of 32 in my bracket, I have 5 seed San Diego State taking on 13 seed Furman. Shout out DSG. San Diego State's going to definitely go on a little bit of a run this tournament, and I really think they're a great sneaky team that people are kind of sleeping on. San Diego State beats Furman in mine.
Yeah, for mine, I have, Virginia against Charleston, and, people are not going to like this. I don't care what the people don't like. Give me Charleston against Virginia. I'm sorry. I like them.
Next up in my bracket, I have 6 seed Creighton taking on 3 seed Baylor. Shout out Liv LeBruno. Baylor is winning this game. I think Baylor's going to make a little run as well. So I got Baylor beating Creighton in my bracket.
Yeah, I have the same matchup as well. Give me Baylor once again. I love Baylor. When they're hot, they're hot. They can do anything when they're hot. When they're cold, Jeez, I'm not watching that game.
Next up, we got my bracket. We got 10 seed Utah State taking on 2 seed Arizona. Arizona wipes the floor with them.
Yeah, I have a similar result. I have Arizona winning, but instead of Utah State, I have them beating Missouri. I like that matchup, but I think Arizona pulls out. Remember, Pac-12 champs. They played in a difficult conference.
Next up, I have 1 seed Purdue taking on 8 seed Memphis, and I got Purdue beating them. Close game, Purdue wins.
You know, Purdue is one of the most unstoppable teams in all of basketball, and that's why I have Memphis beating them. Going on and advancing in fashion against Purdue. That's going to be an upset people don't see, but I see it now. Give me Memphis over Purdue.
Next up, 5 seed Duke takes on 4 seed Tennessee in my bracket. Duke with the little baby upset. Give me Duke on a little bit of a run here, making it all the way to the Sweet 16.
I'll call it right now. Duke versus Tennessee will be game of the year. Maybe give me double overtime or something crazy like that. But I just see these two teams. I see two teams with loads of potential. It's March. Anything's possible. And Duke comes out on top. Duke over Tennessee.
Next up in mine, round of 32, we got 11 seed Providence taking on 3 seed Kansas State. Kansas State, no questions asked.
Yeah, not the same result for me. Remember, I have 6 seed Kentucky over Kansas State, number 3 seed. I just like Kentucky. Good program. They go off the first round. They beat Providence, and I think they go on and upset Kansas State the next round.
Next up in mine, definitely different from yours. I got 10 seed USC taking on 2 seed Marquette. And you know, I told you I think USC is going to be that 10 seed Duke this year. Credible defense, in my opinion. You know, Marquette, definitely a better team, but USC was solid. I really see them holding, I see this being like a 67-70 finish, like just a battle of defense. 10 seed USC upsets 2 seed Marquette, biggest upset in the tournament thus far.
Yeah, I have a bit of a different kind of game. It's Michigan State versus Marquette. Right? I'll just take Marquette. I think Marquette is too good of a team for them to lose to a team like Michigan State. Sorry, Coach Izzo, but I just like Marquette too much in the spot. And in my bracket, not going to give too many spoilers, but I think Marquette makes a little run.
Next up, I have 1 seed Houston taking on 9 seed Auburn. Houston is one of the best teams of this entire tournament. Give me Houston making it to the Sweet 16.
Yeah, for me, I have Houston taking one. Iowa, and Houston is just unstoppable. Give me Houston.
Next up in mine, probably different from yours, 5 seed Miami takes on 4 seed Indiana. Give me 5 seeds. Miami still going on a little bit of a run, making it to the Sweet 16, take on Houston.
Yeah, a little different from you. I have the 12 seed Drake playing a little Cinderella at the ball, taking on Indiana. And let me tell you, Cinderella stories always end pretty well. Give me Drake, 12 seed. I like the upsets in this bracket. Give me them into the next round.
I can't wait till we do like a reaction to this after the first round.
Oh, yes.
Next up, I have Pitt taking on 3 seed Xavier. And the Cinderella run dies here for Pitt. Xavier advances to the Sweet 16.
Yeah, I have Iowa State taking on Xavier. Iowa State, love the program, love the team. Give me Xavier.
Next up, I have 10 seed Penn State taking on 2 seed Texas. And I mean, people might not like this one.
Give it to me.
Penn State upsets Texas, makes it to the Sweet 16.
Yup, I love it. Same matchup, Penn State, Texas. Give me the team from State College, Pennsylvania, baby. Pennsylvania State University. Let's go Nittany Lions. I love it. They're advancing.
And Penn State, if you can make it to the Sweet 16 or even maybe the round of 32, benchwarmer banter will come. Next up, we have 1 seed Kansas taking on 9 seed Illinois in mine. Kansas wins.
Yeah, Kansas wins flats out. I mean, I like Illinois. I think this game is close. But remember, Kansas has that March Madness experience. They took it all the way last year. That's recent. That's not history. That's not in the history books. They hung up that banner at the beginning of this season. Those players still remember it. Some of them have rings from last year. Give me Kansas.
Next up, 4-seed UConn taking on 12-seed VCU in mind. UConn going on a little run. Men's team makes it to the next round.
Yeah, I had a little bit of a different matchup. St. Mary's versus UConn. I have UConn winning this. I just think they're too solid.
Next up, 6-seed TCU takes on 3-seed Gonzaga. Go Zags. See you at the Sweet 16. TCU, get out of here.
Same matchup, different result. Give me TCU. What does TCU as a university know about winning in upset fashion? I don't know. Ask the University of Michigan football team. Ask Jim Harbaugh.
Ask him how it felt to get blown out by 60 points.
It's not about how you started; it's how you finished. And
they finished down 60. Anyways, 10-seed Boise State takes on UCLA. 2-seed in the end of my round of 32, and I have UCLA advancing take on Gonzaga. How do you have your round of 32 ending?
I have Northwestern taking on UCLA. Northwestern, very solid team, not beating UCLA, not at all.
Now to start the Sweet 16. This is where it's going to get very different between me and you. I have 1-seed Alabama taking on 5-seed San Diego State. And we talked about it before. This team is uncertain. I'm not letting them get past the Sweet 16 with this episode's bracket. San Diego State, welcome to the Elite Eight. Alabama, goodbye.
Yeah, a pretty different result for us. Remember, this all stems from that Charleston-San Diego State in the first round. I like Alabama in this round against Charleston. Give me Bama. Those are teams together combined 6 losses. Those are teams that don't lose. 2 completely different conferences, though. Give me Bama.
So next up in mine, I have 3-seed Baylor taking on 2-seed Arizona, which might be the best matchup in the entire tournament for my bracket. Baylor, welcome to the Elite Eight. Arizona, see you later.
Yup. Same matchup, same result. Give me Baylor over Arizona. I like Arizona a lot, but I like Baylor, and it's March. Anything can happen. Give me the 3-seed, and like you said, the mini upsets, give me Baylor.
Next up in my Sweet 16, I have number 1-seed Purdue taking on 5-seed Duke, and I have Purdue ending the little run for Duke. I think they have a great future ahead of them with new head coach, but I think Sweet 16 is a great place for them to end this first season without coach.
Yeah, I have a little different matchup, Memphis versus Duke, but like you said, Duke, it's time to say your goodbyes. You won a game or 2, but now Memphis is time to take over, and I like them advancing.
Next up in mine, I have 3-seed Kansas State taking on 10-seed USC. USC, thanks for coming, play ball. Kansas State, welcome to the Elite Eight.
Completely different matchup. I have Marquette and Kentucky. The 2-seed Marquette, like I've said, too strong. I don't like Kentucky at this point anymore. Give me Marquette.
All right, next up in mine, I have number 1-seed Houston taking on 5-seed Miami, and I got Miami upsetting Houston in the Sweet 16. I feel like a solid team every year that should have made it to the Final Four always gets bounced, and it's usually in the Sweet 16. Miami, welcome to the Elite Eight. Farthest they've gone in years.
Oh, for sure. Different matchup, different result for me. Houston against Drake. I don't like Drake at this point anymore, like I said about Kentucky. Give me Houston. Powerhouse team. They're a good team to play.
So just when you thought Houston versus Miami was a huge upset out of me, I have 3-seed Xavier taking on 10-seed Penn State, and
don't do it to him. Don't do it to him.
Penn State, welcome to the Elite Eight. The Nittany Lions continued dancing.
I have the same teams, Xavier, Penn State, but come on, give me Xavier. So huge.
They're going to be on fire, man. They're going to be on fire at this point. You can't stop that. Next up in mine, the last 2 games are Kansas versus 12-seed VCU. Kansas, rolling through them. That's not close. VCU's little Cinderella story ends. Kansas makes it to the Elite Eight.
Yeah, different matchup for me. Kansas and UConn. Give me Kansas. I think UConn, they started out strong this season. this is where it comes to an end. And maybe next year they'll have a better year, but Kansas, they're looking pretty good.
And the last game of my Sweet 16... Yep. And the last game of my Sweet 16 bracket is 3-seed Gonzaga taking on 2-seed UCLA. This is going to be another, like I remember Gonzaga versus UCLA back when it was in the Final Four, I believe, right?
I think it might have been.
And the buzzer beater. This is a rivalry at this point. Gonzaga over UCLA again. Welcome to the Elite Eight. And Gonzaga on a run in mind. So, what's your last Sweet 16 game?
I have TCU against UCLA. TCU. It's going to end the same way it ended for your football team. UCLA is blowing you guys out. I like UCLA too much here.
Absolutely, and I'm a big UCLA fan as well since Lonzo Ball was at that school. Now, just to give a little bit of insight for the viewers at home, because this is an entire audio podcast, my Elite Eight games are set up as 5-seed San Diego State takes on 3-seed Baylor, 1-seed Purdue takes on 3-seed Kansas State, 5-seed Miami takes on 10-seed Penn State, and 1-seed Kansas takes on 3-seed Gonzaga. And say yours. So what's your Elite Eight looking like?
My Elite Eight is Alabama, the 1-seed takes on 3-seed Baylor. Houston, the 1-seed takes on 3-seed Xavier. The 1-seed Kansas takes on 2-seed UCLA. And the 2-seed Marquette takes on the 8-seed Memphis.
So to start off my Elite Eight, the dance ends for San Diego State. I gotta let Baylor get to that Final Four. Baylor's an incredible team, and I think they will make it there. Baylor advances to the Final Four. San Diego State, though, what a run.
What a run. I'm sorry. I know we've had our disagreements here. Bama over Baylor. That's my matchup prediction.
I would pick that, too. I would pick that, too, if I had Bama getting there.
If Brandon Miller, like I've mentioned, if nothing happens with the trial and this murder conviction, if nothing happens with that during the course of these next couple of weeks and they don't take him out of play and this team stays focused on a tournament, and, really that's not what this is all about. It's about them, bringing justice to that family that lost that poor young lady that was, murdered in this whole case, which is a very upsetting undertone to this whole tournament because this is all about the players and about the teams. But regardless, I'm still taking Alabama to advance here against Baylor.
I absolutely couldn't have said better myself. Next up, my second Elite Eight game, 1-seed Purdue takes on 3-seed Kansas State. The Boilermakers keep on rolling. Welcome to the Final Four. They'll be taking on Baylor in the first game of my Final Four.
Yeah, I have a completely different matchup. Marquette and Memphis. I really do like Memphis here. Give me Memphis over Marquette. Big upset, 8-seed over 2-seed.
Wow. 5-seed Miami takes on 10-seed Penn State, and I mean, man, oh man. These are two teams that have gone on a run for way too long in this, but I mean, what did I say last round?
Of course.
They're hot. 10-seed Penn State upsets 5-seed Miami, one of the lowest seeds to ever make the Final Four. Give me Penn State advancing to the next round.
Mine's a little different. Maybe I'm playing scared ball here. I got the 1-seed Houston over the 3-seed Xavier. I like Houston too much. They dominated the regular season. They didn't play as well towards the end of the conference championship, the conference tournament. But, man, they're going to be ready for this tournament. Give me Houston.
And my last game to wrap up the Elite Eight, 1-seed Kansas takes on 3-seed Gonzaga. And per usual, per nothing new, Gonzaga loses in the Elite Eight, and Kansas advances to the Final Four. My Final Four now is Baylor versus Purdue and Penn State versus Kansas.
Yeah, to wrap things up for my Elite Eight, number 1 Kansas taking on 2-seed UCLA. And let me just say, Kansas going back-to-back this year, not happening. Give me 2-seed UCLA. I really like this team. I want them to make a run. I can see it happening. Give me UCLA.
Now to start off my Final Four, we got 3-seed Baylor taking on 1-seed Purdue. Purdue makes it to the national championship, 1 seed over the 3 seed. So what's your first game of your Final Four?
And for my Final Four, my 2 matchups, I have Alabama, the 1 seed, taking on 8 seed Memphis, as well as the 1 seed Houston taking on 2 seed UCLA. For that first matchup, give me Alabama over Memphis. Memphis had a good run. You made it to the Final Four as the 8 seed. Impressive. Give me the 1 seed Bama.
In my last game, 10 seed Penn State makes it to the Final Four against 1 seed Kansas. It's the end. Kansas advances to play Purdue in my national championship. 1 seed versus 1 seed. I know it's cheesy and it sucks and blah, but Penn State's not making it to the championship. But I have that incredible run happening. I'm calling it now. Penn State goes on an insane run this March Madness.
Yeah, in my Final Four, the second matchup, you can call it bland having all these high seeds or whatever, but historically accurate. I'm taking the 2 seed UCLA over the 1 seed Houston. That's an upset in itself. UCLA is a strong team. Are they stronger than Houston? Maybe. We'll see how it is, by April 1st. It's a long ways away. So give me UCLA over Houston, and we have our national championship set.
My national championship, like I mentioned, the 1 seeds battle Purdue versus Kansas, and yours?
I have the 1 seed Bama taking on the 2 seed UCLA. Those are 2 teams I would not want to face in this tournament.
So I have 1 seed Purdue winning the national championship, cutting down the nets, and Jacob Pepper will maybe die.
Oh my goodness, I couldn't imagine that.
Yes.
Crazy.
So you're national champion to end it off?
Well, I really love UCLA in this tournament, and they made a very spectacular run. But the 20-year-old freshman out of Alabama, the Crimson Tide, baby, number 1 seed in this tournament. I believe they're the number 1 overall as well. Give me Alabama, baby. Bama all the way. Shoot, their football team couldn't get it done this year. Give me them as the national champions. How often can you say that? Yeah, Bama, best basketball team in the nation. That's my pick. My final score, 63-51. What was yours?
I didn't put a final score because I think that's stupid, and I didn't guess that part. Because that's just if another person gets a perfect bracket. So I'm not worried about that. I'll put it 0-0, 0-1. Chess, not checkers,
Absolutely.
That was a long segment. That was definitely fun to kind of call it out way before it happens. But I hope you enjoyed this long segment of talking about March Madness. We'll have a few people on the line after this, but Bryce, it was a pleasure talking about the games with you. And I mean,
Absolutely.
we're planning on doing an episode of the morning after every day of games. If you can make it, subscribe, watch the videos, join some live streams we might be doing. And yeah, I mean, it's definitely going to be a fun month, a hectic month, but we're damn well ready for it. And thank you for joining me, Bryce.
Absolutely. Thank you, Shane.
I'm here with member of Benchwarmer Banter, resident Eagles fan, Phillies fan, Sixers fan. That's about it, right?
Baylor University.
And also freshman at Baylor University. So, Russ, how are we feeling about Baylor's bid to the tournament?
Disappointing loss early on in the Big 12 tournament to Iowa State. I was pretty pissed off about that. Baylor's got 10 losses this year to go with 22 wins. I saw a really big win in Waco against, at the time, number 6 ranked Kansas. So, I mean, we've beaten UT Austin as well, another top 10 team. So there's big wins, and this team can light up the scoreboard. But the defense is a huge problem with Baylor. They're outside the top 100 when it comes to points per possession. And quite frankly, they're not that big of a team. Flo Thamba, love that guy. He's our center, but he's not that big. Really good backcourt, though. You got LJ Cryer. He's averaging about 13. Adam Flagler, also 13. Keontae George, the freshman, going to be going top 15 in the NBA draft next year. He's averaging just over 10 points a game. So, I mean, the backcourt is there and the offensive firepower is as well. But I'm very skeptical about the defense and the rebounding in particular.
I mean, let's talk about these Santa Barbara Guanchos for a second. Talked about this with Bryce before. Worst mascot in the whole tournament this year. It's a shark with a t-shirt and beach shorts on, and his name is like Emirate or something. Stupid. But I mean, this team, a weird, like you hate seeing these weird teams in the tournament because they haven't played a top 25 team this entire season. But they're holding every other team under 66 points a game. 65.6 points per game from their opponents. Great defense, at least against who they're playing, but still 27-7 record. Like 7 losses, kind of a lot to not play a single top 25 team. And I don't know. I really think Baylor steamrolls them, but I want to ask, what is, I think a lot of people underestimate Baylor and like the campus. What does Baylor do if they win that first game? What's that day? What's that morning after like?
I think a lot of people are going to be expecting us to beat UC Santa Barbara. Honestly, I mean, with like I said, 10 losses, we've had some rough losses here at home, and kind of brings down the whole mood of the campus in general. I'm not going to tell you this place is bumping after a round of 64 win. I think we would need to see a bit of a deeper run for there to be some any sort of greasing of the polls going on. But I wasn't here when we won the title back in 2021. But from some older friends that I have and whatnot, they said this place got pretty hectic. So, I mean, I'm excited to see where we can take with this tournament.
All right, so, campus isn't bumping after a 64 win, but I think the general consensus so far between me and Bryce and me and you before, Creighton's probably beating NC State. So you face Creighton, you win that game. What is Baylor like that morning after? I got to hear it.
Yeah, I mean, we beat UC Santa Barbara pretty comfortably, in my opinion. I'm going to say a 10, 15-point win. I think we'll be in the driver's seat most of the game. Maybe they'll go on a little run or something, but I like us in that game the whole way. I like Creighton big time over NC State. I do like the Big East schools. I think they're very competitive this year. There's some potential deep runners with you got Marquette and Xavier, Providence, UConn. Like I said, Creighton's a pretty good team, but I think Baylor once again offensively outfires Creighton, and I think we'll put up another high-scoring game, and they won't be able to handle that. I mean, at that point, Sweet 16 bid would definitely be pretty electric here. Waco on a Saturday night, can get pretty interesting. I mean, the football team was pretty underwhelming this year for us, so I'm excited to see what it would look like if we do indeed get a Sweet 16 appearance.
Well, Russell, I really appreciate you coming on this episode the morning after. I mean, good luck to your team. I got no team in it, so I'm rooting for where everyone in this is going. But, go Bears, man. I really hope you guys make it far, and I hope to see a lot of Baylor content out of you, and I mean that.
Yeah, you should. Hopefully there's content to make. So this team, I expect, at least a Sweet 16 appearance. I would have them going against Arizona, and I think that's also a winnable game. So who knows when we'll see where this ride takes us.
I mean, let's talk about one more thing really quick. You have had the roughest season as a sports fan. I mean, World Series loss, Super Bowl loss, and you're watching most of these in Texas, where you're at college in Baylor. If your own college loses, we're talking Santa Barbara Guanchos pull off the incredible upset. How do you recover from that? Because we haven't seen a video out of you since the Super Bowl loss, and I get it. I understand. I've been there twice in my life. I get it. Once to your Eagles. So I understand the same feeling. But, how do you recover from that, honestly?
The Phils loss, it wasn't the worst thing as being the Cinderella run, but the Eagles won. That one shot me in the heart. And, being in Texas, at least I was able to be away from most of my pesky Giant fan friends. But the Houston Astro fans were loud and about down here, so that was not fun. If I have to suffer another loss down here, especially to a team that plays a mile away from my dorm room, I don't know what I would do. I would definitely I would definitely be in shambles, one might say.
Yeah, I mean, we'd all be praying for you here. But, Russ, again, nice to hear from you. I hope you guys at least make it out of the 64.
Oh, it'll happen. No doubt about it.
But it was a pleasure talking to you, man. Thank you for joining the morning after. And good luck to Baylor. I mean, I hope they smash the Guanchos.
Guanchos will be smashed, Shane. Thanks for having me on, man, and I appreciate it.
Thank you guys so much for joining episode 2 of the morning after, talking all about Selection Sunday. If you have not yet, check the link in our description to enter the BWB Bracket Challenge. First prize, $50. All you got to do is be following our Instagram join and make a bracket on the ESPN The Bracket Challenge app. Follow all of our socials. Everyone have a great rest of your day. And happy March.